Yo! What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Storm the Field with DJ. I am DJ, and we are here to talk about my final thoughts for the first game of the Florida Cup this year. If you don't know, the Florida Cup is a three-way rivalry between the Miami Hurricanes, the Florida Gators, and the FSU Seminoles. Now, Miami did win this rivalry cup last year. They beat both those teams in pretty blowout fashion, and then of course UF beat FSU that was not good at all last year. This year the Florida Cup seemed to be a lot better until UF dropped their game against USF, which I still do believe is a good team. However, Miami booty smacked them, so it's really, really showing either Miami is that good, or and Florida's that bad, or South Florida just had a very good game defensively against Florida, and Florida had a very bad game offensively, or something. Which I don't think is the case because the next game DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions. 5. So what this really comes down to is the defensive battle. Of course, I'm talking defense here, but last week Florida did not play a bad game by any means. On the defensive side of the ball, at least, because they only allowed 20 points to one of the top offenses in the country in the LSU Tigers at Death Valley. So this is a Florida team that can handle business when they need to on the defensive side. Now, Florida should have won that game if DJ Lagway did not have 5 interceptions. So I really am questioning how good DJ Lagway is, and I think that's going to be a big part of this game. Depending on how many mistakes Lagway makes, of course, another 5 interception game is more or less going to be a guaranteed win for the opposing team. Um, so if that happens, give the Canes the victory because it's going to be very difficult to actually have that come back and win that game with 5 interceptions. It's difficult to do. Um, Especially with the Miami offense that has been playing out of its mind. They're averaging over they're I believe 40-point average on the season, including that game in Notre Dame, in which they even then they scored at least 3 touchdowns. So even against those good defenses, they have been scoring. And Carson Beck has been looking like the Carson Beck of 2023, the one we thought that was going to be the number 1 pick. Um, so yes, Carson Beck has been looking good, and the Miami offense has been looking good. And Florida's offense, not so good. So that is an easy point into the Miami column into why Miami will win this game. But the defensive side is the very interesting thing for me because, again, allowing 20 points to the number 3 team in the country at the time with one of the best quarterbacks who is in the race for the Heisman Trophy, with very good receivers and Barry and Brown and others, um, that is not a small feat. I gotta commend Florida for that. They did very well in that game defensively. Um, Billy Napier is still getting fired, but they could keep that DC. Um, but on the offensive side, they didn't do anything, and that's what caused that loss. And I know I'm repeating this, and these videos are filmed without a script, so I'm just going with whatever is going into my head. This is also being recorded the day prior to when I would usually record this, which is on Friday, since I will be traveling on Friday to Eugene to go watch the Ducks play the Beavs. But the problem is, Florida's defense is scary. They are a defense that could put pressure on your QB and very easily make him make mistakes. I believe Garrett Nussmeier had maybe 1 interception prior to last week, and I believe last week he threw 2. Um, so putting that pressure on him definitely was a big thing for Florida. And 2 takeaways in a game is no joke either. That is pretty impressive, especially when you're playing a top team in the country. I mean, think about it this way: Oregon, Ohio State last year, a number 2 and 3 matchup. I believe there was one takeaway the entire game, which was um, a strip sack by Derek Harmon. Um, and then if you count the onside or the kick that hit the Ohio State player, then there was two. But that's two in the entire game for one team. There was there was when you're playing good teams, high number of turnovers is impressive, especially with such a prolific offense like LSU did. Now, I do think also Miami has the advantage on the defensive side of the ball. Miami has been playing outstanding on the defensive side of the ball lately. Of course, Ruben Bain been a stud. He has continued to be who we thought he was, Ruben Hurricane Bain, and he is. I see multiple lists that have him at in the Heisman race, so um it's not like he's been doing nothing. He is playing well enough that I see mock drafts with him at number 2, and I see Heisman races with him in the top 10. So Ruben Bain has been playing very good this season. All those stats don't seem like it. He has not a great amount of sacks, not a great amount of tackles, but his pressure and his ability to get off the offensive line is impressive. It's very similar to Abdul Carter last year. Um, on the other side of it, you have Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor has also been playing very good. That Miami defensive line with those two edge rushers is a scary team to go up against. Like at the end of the day, you are facing two guys that could very easily turn your blockers around and just get to you. So you got to get that ball out quick. What you also got to realize is Miami's secondary has very much improved since last season. Federic has taken a step up from last season. He has been playing very well. Um, he was a freshman last season, now having his, uh, I I believe either redshirt freshman or sophomore season, and he has improved a lot. He is no longer making those freshman mistakes that he was making last season on that secondary side of the ball. Um, the Michigan State transfer has also been very useful to the Canes this season. Of course, the safeties have also been playing very well. Um, and I like Corey Heatherman's defense. Corey Heatherman's defense, I think, for 99.9% of the season played very well. Um, it was just that second half against Notre Dame where they kind of shut down a little bit. They started playing more conservative, and that led up to points. That's something I think we learned in week 1, that you can't get too conservative with this defense because it will end up in mistakes by the defense. I mean, there was a giant zone play that just ended up in a 60-yard play because the tight end was wide open. Um, so you can't play conservative with this defense, but you have to allow them to do what they need to do. This defense, especially the secondary, has very much improved. Of course, last year the D line was not much of an issue. I thought our front seven was actually pretty decent. Um, Unpopular opinion, I think Mauano was pretty decent. Um, just not good in coverage, so good as a rushing edge, more like a Von Miller type player compared to a zone coverage type player like Bobby Wagner. So yeah, that's more or less all I gotta say. I do think again Miami will come out on top. If you have not seen my preview video, go check it out. Um, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe. And yeah, I bleed orange and green and yellow. And DJ, out. I'll see you all next time.